Sometimes the
4K.
tiniest little changes can have the biggest impact. I was walking through San Francisco a while back, and I saw this homeless man, right? He had a sign that just said, like, please help a
4K.
homeless man.
Yeah.
You've probably seen signs like that.
Oh, yeah, tons.
Well, he had this look on his face, just pure dejection. And it got to me. So I decided to, I don't know, try something a little different.
Okay.
Instead of just giving him some money, I offered him $2 if he'd let me rewrite his sign for a couple hours.
Okay, I'm curious.
Yeah. So I kept it really simple. I just changed the way he was framing his request. And get this, when I came back,
Full
he
HD.
wouldn't even take the $5 I promised him. He insisted on giving me $10 instead.
Wow. That's incredible. What did you write?
Well, he told me he'd made $60 in just those 2 hours. Usually he only made like $2 to $10 an hour.
Wow.
Complete turnaround.
So what did the new sign say?
It got me thinking about the power of framing. Like, even subtle changes in communication can make a huge difference, right?
It's like you stumbled on like a real life neuro marketing experiment. And that actually segues perfectly to our deep dive today. We're going to be exploring the book Neuromarketing, which is all about influencing the old brain to get people to, well, buy your product.
It's fascinating stuff. The book dives into the neuroscience of decision making and how we can, craft more persuasive marketing messages.
Exactly. And one of the key takeaways is that most of us are walking around making decisions with what the book calls the old brain or the reptilian brain.
Right.
This part of the brain is all about survival instincts. It's driven by emotion, not logic.
So to create truly persuasive marketing, we need to target the part of the brain that reacts emotionally, not the part that thinks things through logically.
Right. And neuromarketing lays out 4 key steps to do just that. Think of it like this. You're selling something as basic as bottled water. Step 1 is to identify a problem. In this case, it's thirst. The bigger the problem, like being stranded in a desert with no water, the greater the need for your solution.
That makes sense, but everyone needs water, so how do you make your brand of water stand out?
That's where step 2 comes in. Differentiate your claims. Don't just sell water.
Yeah.
Sell the purest, most refreshing, or the most convenient water.
Right.
Find what makes your product unique and highlight that.
So you're saying, like,
4K.
instead of focusing on like the basic need for water, you need to create a specific emotional need that your particular brand can fulfill.
You got it. And once you've done that, you move on to step 3. Demonstrate the gain. Show potential customers
Full
exactly
HD.
how your water quenches their thirst better, tastes better, or is more readily available than the competition. Back up your claims with evidence and examples.
Okay, so we've identified the problem, differentiated our product, and demonstrated its benefits. But how do we make sure that our message actually grabs the old brain's attention? I mean, there's so much noise out there.
That's where it gets really interesting. Step 4 is all about capturing the attention of the old brain. And the book offers some seriously clever techniques for doing that. One of my favorites is this idea of using
Full HD.
mini dramas.
Mini dramas.
Exactly. That's like tiny plays.
The book uses this example of Agnes.
Okay.
She's a job candidate who was up against like some stiff competition, and she landed the job by incorporating a mini drama into her interview.
Interesting.
Instead of just listing her skills, she acted out a scenario to show how she'd handle a challenging situation.
So she like created a story that allowed the interviewers to like experience her skills rather than just hear about them.
Right. She pretended to take a call from like a distressed distributor in Venezuela who was having a software issue. She even switched between English and Spanish to make it super realistic. It's like she brought her resume to life.
And that's the power of mini dramas. They help people connect emotionally and see the tangible benefits of what you're offering. The old brain thrives on this kind of sensory experience.
And it's not just for job interviews either, right? The book mentioned that even big companies like Panasonic use mini dramas in their ads.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about that ad where the guy drops his Toughbook laptop and it survives without a scratch. It's a mini drama that instantly makes you feel like you can trust that laptop to withstand anything.
Speaking of things that grab attention, what about visuals? They seem to be pretty powerful too.
Absolutely. Visuals are like a direct line to the old brain. Remember that Canadian Airlines ad? It simply showed a power outlet on the plane's armrest, but it perfectly captured the like relief of business travelers who could finally work without worrying about their battery dying mid-flight.
Wow.
Like a single image conveyed a whole story.
It's funny how a simple visual can be so much more powerful than a long explanation.
And the research backs that up. The book cites data from the 3M Meeting Management Institute stating that memory retention skyrockets when visuals are used.
Right.
So when you're trying to make a lasting impression, ditch those tact-heavy slides and bring on the charts, diagrams, and images.
It makes you wonder why so many presentations are still just bullet points on a plain background.
Right. Speaking of visuals, the book also talks about the impact of using props. It's about making the message like tangible, something people can literally grasp. You actually have a great story about this from your time at Silicon Graphics, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Their logo was a 3D cube.
Okay.
And I used to bring this like 8-inch cube prop to presentations. And it was incredibly helpful in explaining their geometric engine and how users could manipulate objects visually.
And it wasn't just a gimmick.
Right.
You told me about running into someone years later who still remembered your cube presentation and how it ultimately led his company to buy Silicon Graphics computers.
It's true. Sometimes a simple object can make a complex idea much more memorable.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another powerful tool, wordplay. Remember that Wells Fargo slogan, more bang for your buck?
No, it's so catchy. It packs their whole value proposition into like 5 words.
Exactly. Wordplay can add another layer of meaning to your message, engaging the old brain with humor or cleverness. It's like a little mental puzzle that makes people want to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like that feeling when you finally get a good pun. You
Yeah.
can't help but smile. That's the old brain lighting up. But while wordplay can be effective, sometimes you need something even more engaging, something that taps into the emotional centers of the brain on a deeper level.
You're talking about storytelling, right?
You got it. The book actually dedicates a whole section to the importance of storytelling in sales and marketing.
Yeah.
It argues that stories are a powerful way to activate different areas of the brain, making your message more memorable and persuasive. It even encourages readers to learn proper storytelling techniques.
I remember you told me a story about one of your clients who completely ditched their PowerPoint presentation and instead told a story using the analogy of breaking a brick to showcase their unique value proposition.
Oh yeah, that was a brave move. They were going up against some tough competitors in a high stakes pitch, and they explained how their competitors were like people trying to break a brick with their fingertips, spreading their force too thin. But their company, they were like the focused fist, delivering a concentrated impact.
Wow, that's a really vivid analogy. It makes their value proposition crystal clear.
Exactly, and it stuck with the audience long after the presentation was over.
So we've got mini dramas, visuals, props, wordplay, and storytelling, all these great techniques for capturing the attention of the old brain. But there's another crucial element to all of this, right? Understanding your audience.
Absolutely. Neuromarketing emphasizes the importance of tailoring your message to your audience's primary channel for receiving information. In other words, you need to figure out whether your audience learns best through visuals, audio, or kinesthetic experiences.
It reminds me of that BMW ad targeting audiophiles, people who are all about sound quality. They used an image of stereo microphones speaking directly to their passion for sound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about speaking their language, literally and figuratively.
So how do you figure out what someone's primary channel is?
Well, the book has this fascinating exercise where you count the letter O in a paragraph. It sounds simple, but it reveals how differently people perceive information. Some focus on the visual O, others on the sound of the O when spoken, and still others on the physical act of saying O.
That's such a great reminder that what's obvious to one person might be completely overlooked by another.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important to put yourself in your audience's shoes. What are their pain points? What kind of language resonates with them? How can you make your message truly relevant to their world?
And once you understand your audience, how do you actually craft a message that speaks to them on an emotional level?
The book stresses the importance of using you language.
Okay.
It's about shifting the focus from features to benefits, from what the product is to what it can do for the customer.
So instead of saying, this system reduces energy consumption by 50%. You'd say you'll save 50% on energy costs with this system.
Exactly. It's a subtle but powerful shift that makes the message more personal and impactful.
It's like you're speaking directly to their needs and desires, which is
Yeah.
exactly what that old brain is tuned into. But even with the perfect message and a deep understanding of your audience, there's still one more crucial ingredient for persuasive communication, right?
You got it.
Credibility.
You can have the best product in the world and the most compelling marketing message, but it won't get you very far if you don't come across as credible.
Right. People need to trust you before they'll be persuaded by you.
Hmm.
What does neuromarketing say about building credibility?
Well, it highlights several key strategies.
Okay.
One is using social proof, like customer testimonials. If other people have had success with your product or service, let them tell the story.
With like a built-in endorsement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book also talks about the importance of appearing confident and knowledgeable.
Right.
If you believe in what you're selling, it shows.
And it mentions addressing objections directly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That demonstrates transparency and a willingness to engage in honest conversation, which builds trust.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, from identifying the problem to grabbing attention and building credibility along the way. It's fascinating how much goes into crafting a truly persuasive message.
It really is. And we've only just scratched the surface. There's another layer to this whole influencing the old brain thing that we haven't even touched on yet.
Yeah. I'm really intrigued. You're going to leave us hanging.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
But we'll have to save it for part 2 of our deep dive. We'll be back soon to delve into the secrets of timing and how to keep that old brain engaged throughout your entire message.
I can't wait. See you then.
Welcome back to our deep dive into neuromarketing.
Last time we were talking about those 4 key steps to influencing the old brain. You know, that part of us that's like more about gut feelings than logic.
Right.
We covered some really cool tactics like those mini dramas and using props to bring ideas to life.
Right, because it's not enough to just have a great product or idea, right?
Yeah.
You have to present it in a way that our old brains just find irresistible. And that brings us to the cliffhanger I left you with. Is there a best time to deliver a message?
I've been thinking about that ever since. Tell me you have the answer.
Well, I do, and it all comes down to understanding the old brain's natural rhythm. Think about those long presentations you sat through.
Ugh, yeah. I know those all too well. You start out engaged, and then your mind just starts to wander.
Exactly. At the beginning, your old brain is on high alert.
Right.
It's scanning for anything new or, potentially threatening.
Okay.
It's like it's saying, okay, what's going on here? Do I need to fight or flee?
So the old brain is basically like a little bodyguard, always on the lookout for danger.
That's a great way to put it. And according to research cited in the book, that's when you're at peak attention, somewhere between like 70 to 100% of your maximum capacity for focus and memory.
So that's the time to hit them with your most important points, make a strong first impression.
Precisely. But here's the catch. As the presentation goes on, if the old brain decides everything is safe and familiar, it goes into a lazy mode.
Right.
And your attention and memory can plummet to around 20%.
That explains why I can never remember what was on the last few slides of a presentation.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's just how our brains are wired. So the question is, how do we keep the old brain engaged for the whole ride? How do we stop it from tuning out?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Give me the secrets.
Well, neuromarketing suggests a few strategies, but one of the most important is variety. Remember how we talked about different learning styles? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic?
Right, like using a visual for someone who's a visual learner, or letting someone touch a product if they learn best through hands-on experience.
Exactly. By incorporating a mix of these styles, you keep the old brain stimulated.
Okay.
Instead of that monotonous PowerPoint with endless bullet points, think about using props, telling a quick anecdote, and then maybe showing a powerful image.
So it's about creating a more dynamic and multi-sensory experience.
Precisely. The book even suggests using specific language to activate different channels.
Oh.
So for visual learners, you might say, can you picture this?
Right.
For auditory learners, listen carefully to this part. And for kinesthetic learners, let's get our hands on this.
I love that. It's like you're constantly uh, switching gears, keeping the old brain guessing what's coming next.
Then that's how you maintain engagement. And speaking of keeping things interesting, the book really emphasizes the importance of incorporating visuals whenever possible.
They do say a picture is worth 1,000 words.
More than that, actually.
Right.
Neuromarketing references studies that show combining visuals and audio can boost memory retention from 14% to 38%.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's huge.
I'm going to have to rethink my whole presentation style after this.
Me too. And don't forget about involving the audience. Asking questions, having them raise their hands, even getting them to participate in a demonstration. All of this taps into their kinesthetic learning channel, which keeps those old brains firing on all cylinders.
So variety is key. But isn't there also something to be said for simplicity? Sometimes I feel like the more complex something is, the harder it is to pay attention.
You're absolutely right. And that's why neuromarketing has a whole chapter dedicated to crafting a powerful message with minimal words.
Less is more.
Exactly. The old brain has a limited attention span, remember?
Right.
It craves clear, direct language that gets to the point quickly. So ditch the jargon and corporate speak.
So basically talk like a human, not a robot.
That's the idea. Use short, simple sentences and strong words that evoke emotion. Neuromarketing actually provides a list of what it considers the 12 most persuasive words in the English language. It's based on research from Yale University.
Okay, now I have to know, what are these magic words?
Get ready. Here they are. You, money, save, new, results, easy, health, security, love, discovery, proven, and guarantee.
Wow, those are some powerful words. It's like a cheat sheet for persuasive writing.
They really are. And when used effectively, they can really pack a punch. But words are just one part of the equation. The book also talks about how we deliver those words.
Okay.
Our tone of voice, our pacing. It says that a whopping 84% of the information conveyed in phone conversations comes from your voice. The tone, the pitch, the pacing, everything.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not just what you say, but how you say it.
You got it. And that old brain of ours is incredibly attuned to the emotional nuances in your voice. It can detect fear, insincerity, or lack of confidence faster than you can say, close the deal.
So I guess faking confidence doesn't really work.
Right.
The old brain can see right through that.
Exactly. Authenticity is key. When you're genuinely passionate and enthusiastic about your message, it shows in your voice.
Right.
And that energy is contagious.
Yeah, it's about connecting with people on a human level, not just delivering information like a robot.
You nailed it. The book actually references a theory from the Cluetrain Manifesto. It argues that the internet is creating a divide between corporations and people because of the way they communicate.
Right.
Corporations often use this bland, impersonal corporate voice, while people crave real, human connection.
So it's about finding your authentic voice, the one that resonates with your audience on an emotional level.
Exactly. And that applies to everything from, face-to-face presentations to emails and social media posts. Now, speaking of presentations, we've talked about visuals, props, and language, but there's another aspect of communication that the old brain pays close attention to.
Let me guess, body language.
You got it. Neuromarketing cites research showing that nonverbal communication is a huge part of the message we convey.
So things like posture, eye contact, and gestures, they all matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The old brain is constantly scanning for signs of danger or deception, and it picks up on these subtle cues.
So slouching, fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, all bad news.
Exactly. They signal a lack of confidence or authenticity, which undermines your message.
Okay, so what's the recipe for persuasive body language? What should I be doing instead?
Well, neuromarketing suggests maintaining an open and relaxed posture, making direct eye contact, and using natural gestures that, emphasize your points.
So it's all about projecting confidence and credibility, both verbally and non-verbally.
Precisely. And there's this incredible example from the book that really drives home the power of nonverbal communication, even in extreme circumstances.
Oh.
It's about a soldier named Robert who was captured during the Vietnam War.
Oh, wow, that sounds intense.
It was. He found himself face to face with an enemy soldier who was pointing a gun at him. He didn't speak the language, but he instinctively understood the gravity of the situation.
What did he do?
He looked directly into the soldier's eyes, shook his head, and pleaded for his life.
Wow, I can't even imagine being in that situation.
It must have been terrifying. But here's the amazing part. The soldier hesitated, lowered his gun, and walked away.
You're kidding. All from a look and a gesture.
It's a powerful testament to the raw power of nonverbal communication, even in a life or death situation. So as you can see, understanding how to appeal to the old brain is crucial for effective communication. But there's one more piece to this puzzle.
Oh no, another cliffhanger. Don't tell me there's a third part of the brain we need to worry about.
Well, not exactly a third part, but another layer of complexity. You see, neuromarketing argues that to truly master persuasion, we need to go beyond the old brain and engage what's known as the new brain.
The new brain. What in the world is that?
Well, that's where we'll pick up in part 3 of our deep dives. Stay tuned.
Okay, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into neuromarketing. We've uncovered some pretty amazing strategies for appealing to the old brain,
Yeah.
that part of us that just loves stories and visuals and strong emotions.
Right. It's all about tapping into that like primal part of our brains that reacts instinctively. But as we learned at the end of part 2, there's another layer to persuasion that we need to explore.
You're talking about the new brain, right? What exactly is that, and why is it so important for persuasion?
Well, think of it this way. Like, if the old brain is the impulsive kid who wants instant gratification, the new brain is the thoughtful adult who considers the long-term consequences.
So it's like the old brain says, I want that shiny thing right now. And the new brain's like, hold on, let's think about this.
Exactly. The new brain, or the neocortex, as it's scientifically known, is where all those like higher level thinking processes happen. Reasoning, planning, complex decision making.
So to be truly persuasive, we need to appeal to both the old brain's emotions and the new brain's logic.
That's the key. It's like a 1-2 punch of persuasion.
Hmm.
And neuromarketing offers some fascinating insights into how to do just that. For example, the new brain, it loves information. It craves data, facts, logical arguments.
That makes sense. But wouldn't all that data and logic, bore the old brain to tears?
It could, if it's not presented in the right way. Remember how we talked about the power of storytelling?
Yeah, those mini dramas really bring things to life.
Exactly. You can actually weave data and logic into compelling narratives that capture both the old brain's emotional attention and the new brain's desire for understanding.
So it's like a layered approach, hitting both sides of the brain.
Precisely. For instance, you might start with a mini drama that evokes an emotional response, then transition into a presentation of data that backs up your claims, and finally you could circle back to that emotional impact by sharing a customer testimonial.
So it's a story, data, then social proof, all wrapped up in one persuasive package.
You got it. Now, another crucial aspect of appealing to the new brain is building credibility and trust. If you're asking people to make well-informed decisions, they need to believe in your expertise.
That makes sense. You can't just expect people to, take your word for it.
Exactly. This might involve highlighting your credentials, presenting third-party research, or addressing potential objections directly.
It's all about transparency, showing that you're not trying to hide anything.
Exactly. And there's this really cool technique that neuromarketing mentions for appealing to the new brain called future pacing.
So future pacing, what's that all about?
It's about guiding the listener to imagine themselves experiencing the benefits of your product or service in the future.
Ooh, I like that. So instead of just saying this software will save you time, you might say, imagine yourself at the end of the day having finished all your tasks ahead of schedule with time to spare for things you actually enjoy. That's the power of this software.
You nailed it. You're painting a vivid picture of that desired future state, and the new brain just loves to visualize possibilities.
Yeah, it's like you're giving them a glimpse into a better tomorrow.
Precisely. And by combining this future-oriented thinking with the emotional pull of the old brain, you create a powerful recipe for persuasion.
So we've covered the old brain and the new brain. Anything else we need to know about how our brains process these persuasive messages?
Well, neuromarketing also delves into the fascinating world of cognitive biases.
Okay.
These are mental shortcuts our brains use to simplify decision-making, and they can be incredibly influential in how we respond to persuasion.
Cognitive biases. Give me an example.
One common bias is called social proof.
Okay.
We're more likely to do something if we see other people doing it, especially those we perceive as like being like
Oh,
us.
like when you see those online reviews that say 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this toothpaste.
Exactly. It makes you think, well, if all these dentists like it, it must be good. Another
Yes.
bias is loss aversion. We're actually more motivated to avoid losses than to achieve gains.
So if you frame your message in terms of what people stand to lose if they don't take action, it's
Yeah.
it's more persuasive.
You got it. Neuromarketing goes into a whole bunch of these cognitive biases and how understanding them can make your communication much more effective.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for human behavior.
It really is. But it's important to remember that this knowledge should be used responsibly. The goal isn't to like manipulate or trick people.
Right. It's about understanding how our brains work so we can communicate more effectively and create win-win situations.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond manipulation and into the realm of genuine persuasion where everyone benefits.
This whole deep dive has been incredible. I feel like I have like a whole new understanding of how persuasion works, and I can't wait to start applying these techniques to my own communication.
Me too. And the best part is this knowledge isn't just for, marketers. It's valuable for anyone who wants to communicate more effectively in their personal life, at work, even in their community.
It's like a superpower for building relationships and making things happen.
It really is. So go out there and use this knowledge for good. Remember, persuasion is a skill that can be learned and honed. And the more you understand about how our brains work, the more effective you'll be at influencing others in a positive and ethical way.
Great advice. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into neuromarketing. Thanks for joining us on this journey. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope you're ready to go out and put this knowledge into action.